Hey, I'm Stacey,
And I'm Maddie.
and welcome back to this episode of Frequently Asked Questions with the Chief Life.
This week we're talking about the number on the scales,
We're looking at the 7 pillars of health and why they're important.
as well as eating healthy on holidays. No matter what you need,
Whenever you need it.
there's one thing you can count on,
We've got your back
because that's how we roll here.
at the Chief Life.
So a common question we have come across from our members is that they're feeling great, they're looking great, but the number on the scales isn't going down. And their question is, why is this happening?
So depending on whether you're training or not, there's so many factors that can come into the number on the scales. In the first week or so, sometimes we see quite a drastic change in our overall weight of going down. And then it starts to taper off a little bit. Now, this can be due to initial water loss in the first week or so, like water holding. It could also be that it starts to peter out a little bit due to training. So if you're doing strength training, resistance training, you may be gaining muscle whilst you're decreasing fat. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if your muscle mass is increasing whilst your fat mass is decreasing, then your weight might stay the same or maybe only change a little bit. What we encourage people to focus on is the circumference around the waist, around the hips, how your clothes are fitting, and not really focus on what the bathroom scales are saying. If we get fixated on those numbers, it can really start to cause some self-sabotage. So it's better to focus on how you're feeling. If people are telling you that your skin is looking better, you know that you've got a healthy glow about you, you've got more energy, you're sleeping better, those markers are all moving in the right direction and showing that you're feeling a lot better regardless of what the number on the scale says.
So doing things like getting rid of your scale, putting it away maybe in the cupboard, swapping your bathroom scale for your kitchen scales, okay, making sure that you're weighing and measuring your food. The other thing to look at might be a DEXA scan. So go and get a real scan on the body to check out what your body fat mass is, what your muscle mass is, doing it again in a month, 2 months, 3 months time, just so you can recheck up on your results and actually see which direction you're heading.
And if you want to do a weekly check-in, as we were saying before, rather than doing a DEXA on a regular basis, then our waist circumference and hip circumference are a great way to see how the food that you're eating is being tolerated by your body and the outcome that you're achieving. So Maddie, what are the 7 pillars and why are they important?
So 7 pillars are kind of like the Chief Life Code, something that we lean on, something that we can look back on. If we're having a bad day, we can look back on these 7 things and kind of assess where we're at and why we're there and what we can do to change it. So the 7 pillars, let's see how we go. We've got nutrition, training, hydration, sleep, stress management, breathing, and vitamin D, or getting outside. So we can kind of elaborate on each one of these, but say for instance, I get into work one day and I might be feeling pretty dull. There's a few things I can do to make that a little bit of a better experience. So I could look back and say, okay, maybe I didn't sleep so well last night, so what can I do to make this day better? I would say getting outside, getting some vitamin D. I would say hydrating and looking at your mindset for the day, trying to change your mindset around from where it's at to where you want it to be instead.
Some other things that you can do in terms of taking 5 minutes on your lunch break to get outside and eat your lunch in the sun, and that can incorporate your sort of breathing and meditation with you're taking some time outside. So it's like you're killing 2 birds or 3 birds with 1 stone there. Often caffeine is a good place to look when we're talking about hydration, because some people really struggle with getting enough water in and then they counteract their hydration levels by having caffeinated drinks. So it's really important to make sure not only that you're drinking enough water, sort of 2 to 3+ liters a day, but then also making sure that for every caffeinated drink you have, you're having another cup of water or reducing your caffeine intake down in order to get the benefits from the hydration.
I guess with these things, if you can touch on all 7 pieces, you know that you're going to be better off for it. If you can dial in on each one of these and maybe choose 3 to work on to start with, and then start to progress your journey. Because if you can dial all of these in, then we know that you're going to be having a successful, healthy life.
Some of these might seem a bit random, like why is breathing in there? Well, you know, if you stop breathing, you won't be alive for much longer. It's not an optional activity, but there's a way that we can get an awareness of our breath where we can bring about an even better response to our life through our nervous system being able to calm down, being in more of a rest and digest frame of mind rather than a constant fight or flight frame of mind that causes more anxiety. Anxiety is a very common thing these days. A lot of people suffering from chronic anxiety, and simple absolutely free tools that you can use of bringing yourself back to your breath and calming yourself down, breathing through your nose. These things are so powerful and so helpful for getting you feeling better.
The other benefit to breathing through the nose compared to the mouth is it actually cleanses the air. So the mouth is the digestive system, whereas the nose is respiratory system. Sorry, I'll get there. And so breathing through the nose will clean the air before you actually take it down into the lungs, giving you, I guess, a good analogy that Brian McKenzie used was it's like drinking from a pond or drinking nice clean water.
Yeah. And then with the food, that's a big kind of umbrella. And what we're referring to there is trying to eat as close to chief approved as possible. And then also decreasing the things that can cause a lot of issues in the body. So, decreasing sugar or swapping it out, decreasing alcohol or swapping it out, looking at the things that can cause inflammation, disease, illness in the human population, and looking at ways that we can improve that. And that's obviously what we like to help people with, that food side of things.
So guys, the last question for this Q&A is based on holidays. When going on holidays, what should we eat? How clean should we eat? I don't want to come back feeling like crap for my holiday, so what do I do?
And, it's come up, Maddie and I have both been on holidays this last month, and we attempt to eat as clean as possible when we go away. We're still human, we still have treats when we're away, we still eat out, we enjoy meals and maybe a drink here or there with friends. But predominantly, we're eating chief approved. So we're eating protein, carbs, and fats every few hours and choosing good quality foods that we know our bodies digest well. And that means that we come back from our holidays feeling better than before we left. Most people go on holiday because they want to feel refreshed. They want to feel relaxed when they come back, and they want to have a good time while they're away. And that doesn't mean that you have to let loose and go on massive drinking binges every night, or, eat heaps and heaps of food and stuff yourself silly and get into this scarcity mindset where you might never see food again, so you have to eat everything in sight. That seafood diet, seafood and eat it. So we want to focus more on keeping the principles alive. The things that you do at home, why should they have to change when you go on holiday? And this has kind of come up in a few conversations for me over the last couple of weeks where people say, well, why do you do it? Why do you bother eating so clean when you're on holiday? And there's a few reasons. The first one is that I want to feel good. So as good as I feel when I'm back home, I want to feel like that when I go on holiday. And we want that for you guys too. The next thing is prevention. So when you understand the science behind a lot of the stuff that you do, the why behind what you do, the food that you're eating, the food that you're putting into your body, the drinks that you're putting into your body, is it harming you or is it healing you? Is it serving you to get closer to your goals or is it taking you further away? And yes, you're on holiday, but it doesn't mean that you can't think about these awesome things, because then when you get back from your holiday, you can continue working towards it. So, when you understand that certain foods can cause increased anxiety, certain foods can cause increased depression or this kind of sugar roller coaster, then you choose not to put those foods in your body whether you're on holiday or not.
I think for me as well, going on holidays, I like to do adventure stuff, or I like to go out and see the place I'm going to. So even if I'm traveling overseas or if I'm staying within Australia, wherever I go, I want to go and experience what's happening around me. And if I'm hungover or I'm feeling like crap from the food I've eaten, now I can't go out and do the best experience that I should have had from that holiday. Like I said, I like to do a lot of adventure stuff, so I'll go out and I'll pack a lunch for that day just because it's what I'm used to. It's my routine. I don't want to get too far out of my routine when I come back home. I want to be used to taking packed lunches, taking my food as I need to. When I go out to a restaurant, I try to keep it chief approved because that's what I'm used to. Same thing, it's always just eyeballing the food. And yes, I might eat a little bit of extra meat here and there. I might eat a little bit of extra carbs here and there, but that's fine because you're on holiday, so you can loosen up a little bit. We don't want to see you go down the rails completely and come back and feel like you had to start completely fresh again.
And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Chief Life FAQ Show. If you found this episode useful, please give it a like, share with a friend, or tag a mate in the comments section below. And with that, we'll catch you next time, friends.